She drifted into his field of vision like a living melody, her skin etched in veins of molten silver that pulsed with each faint note of her song. Commander Reza Halim paused mid-stride on the obsidian platform, breath caught in his lungs, as her cobalt eyes, flecked with molten gold, fixed upon him with ancient intent. Around them, the cavern's stalactites hummed in resonance, amplifying the vibrations that emanated from her throat, weaving a tapestry of light across the crystalline walls. Every instinct screamed retreat, yet his feet remained rooted, captivated by the cascade of iridescent tears that glimmered at her lashes. With a single, fluid gesture, she beckoned him forward through the veil of harmonic haze, each step resonating in his bones like the toll of a cosmic bell. As he crossed the threshold, the world transformed into a realm suspended between dreams and nightmares. Nebular mist coiled around floating islets of luminescent flora, flowers the size of his helmeted head, their petals pulsating in time with her song. Rivers of liquid stardust carved ribbons through the air, reflecting constellations that had long since burned out in distant galaxies. In the distance, vaulted arches of bone-white crystal soared skyward, their spires entwined with living vines that whispered secrets in unearthly tongues. She guided him along a ribbon bridge of fractured moonstone, every shard beneath his boots, refracting kaleidoscopic patterns across his visor's HUD. Reza Halim, she intoned, her voice an echo that seemed to originate from both within and beyond his own mind. You bear the mark of the star rot, a legacy written in your DNA before your birth. He reached to touch the emblem etched on his neck, a lattice of silver filigree that glowed softly beneath his collar. Its significance until now a mystery buried in bureaucratic memos. She paused at the bridge's apex, her reflection splitting into two shimmering apparitions in the polished surface, and offered him a chalice carved from meteorite iron. Drink, she whispered, and awaken to your true purpose. Hesitation flickered, but curiosity overrode caution. As liquid starlight passed his lips, visions unfurled in riotous color, ancient empires sculpted from living crystal, suns collapsing into singularities that birthed new life, and a symphony so profound, it bound the cosmos in a single breath. He staggered, mind reeling, and she steadied him with a hand warm as dying embers. The void stirs, she said, eyes flashing violet, and only the star rot can convene the celestial chorus to still its hunger. They descended a spiraling ramp of woven light and shadow, each step echoing with half-heard harmonies that tugged at Reza's memory. Motes of phosphorescent spores drifted down, their gentle glow illuminating glyphs carved into the ramp's underside, prophecies of a vindicator who would harmonize the fracture between creation and oblivion. The weight of destiny settled upon him like a mantle of molten glass. "Show me," he whispered. "Teach me the song." Her lips curved in a semblance of a smile as she led him into the hall of resonant echoes, a vast chamber rimmed with towering arches of crystal, each embedded with living luminescence that pulsed to an otherworldly beat. In its center lay the harp of aeons, an instrument strung with filaments of pure starlight. She plucked a single string, and the note that rang out sent ripples through the air, bending reality at the edges. "Begin," she urged. "Release the song mist." He approached, hands trembling, and let his fingertips graze the starlight strings. Immediately, a torrent of sound erupted. Waves of chorale voices unseen, filled with longing and lament. The chamber trembled as the vaults reverberated in sympathy, and Reza felt his consciousness expand, merging with harmonies that transcended mortal comprehension. In that moment, he knew the song mist was not just a weapon or a tool. It was the very breath of the cosmos, capable of creation and destruction alike. But the melody fractured as a low growl reverberated through the hall. From the shadows emerged the umbral warden, a titan of living darkness whose maw was a blackened rift and whose eyes blazed with hungry void fire. The keeper of echoes drew twin blades forged from comet iron, their edges singing. "Defend the chorus," she commanded, "or the void will consume every note." Reza's hands ignited with silver-blue energy as he raised a gauntlet inscribed with astral runes. He channeled the song mist, shaping its essence into a blade of luminescent tone. They clashed with the warden in a ballet of light and shadow, each strike releasing chords that clashed like dissonant chords on a celestial scale. The ground cracked, and shards of crystal splintered upward, embedding in the warden's obsidian hide. Drawing upon memories of Earth's greatest symphonies, Mahler's final adagio, the plaintive cry of a solo violin, Reza wove these echoes into a crescendo of unity. The warden shuddered as each note struck true, unraveling its form until it dissolved into motes of dissipating gloom. The hall fell silent, save for the fading hum of restored resonance, and Reza sank to one knee, breathless, with exhilaration. The keeper extended a hand, lifting him back to his feet. "You have claimed the first note," she said, her voice warm with pride. "But 19 more await across the realms. Each holds a fragment of the celestial chorus, and each harbors its own guardian of silence." Reza met her gaze, steel in his eyes. "Then let us depart," he answered, "for the symphony must be whole." They exited the chamber through a portal of liquid light that rippled like a disturbed pond. Beyond lay the path of shattered worlds, a gauntlet of shattered moons and drifting star rafts tethered by fractal bridges. The first destination loomed ahead, a world of black sands under a sky fractured into 1,000 hues. She turned, her wings of woven starlight shining like a bride's veil. "Welcome to Erebos," she declared, "where the song's shadow was born." Reza inhaled the acrid air of Erebos, tasting ash and longing. The sky flickered with chromatic storms, and shadows moved with sentient intent. "Here," the keeper whispered, "we find the echo of sorrow." Together they stepped onto the sands, each footstep releasing clouds of shimmering dust that danced like living notes. The shifting dunes revealed a monolith of obsidian, its face etched with sorrowful visages, souls lost to the void's hunger. Reza pressed his ear to the stone, and a low dirge filled his mind, grief incarnate in sound. "This note," he murmured, "must be redeemed." She laid her hand beside his, and together they poured the song mist into the monolith, transforming its lament into a promise of hope. As the dirge transmuted into a lullaby of silver light, the sky above Erebos broke into brilliant dawn, and the sands glowed with renewed color. The first fragment of the chorus had been reclaimed. Reza exhaled, heart swelling with triumph and sorrow intertwined. "Let the symphony continue," he vowed. And with that, they soared into the void toward the next realm. They stepped from the healed sands of Erebos into the vast expanse of the Between, a fluid void where glittering star fragments drifted like lanterns over an endless night. The keeper of echoes extended her hand, guiding Reza toward a spiraling spire of prismatic violet glass that hovered unsupported in the darkness. Its facets rippled with embedded star maps, each glowing constellation a testament to a world erased by the rift's hunger. Beneath them, the void pulsed with subtle currents of energy, tugging at their suits and stirring echoes of distant harmonies. Reza felt a shiver of anticipation and dread, knowing this realm would demand more than strength. It would test the limits of his empathy and courage. Within the spire's heart, they discovered a shallow pool filled with liquid starlight, its surface reflecting infinite versions of themselves. The keeper dipped her fingers in, lifting a shard of pure radiance that burned like a newborn sun. "The echo of radiance," she murmured, voice trembling with awe. "A song of creation untempered, capable of illuminating or incinerating all it touches." Reza watched the shard's light dance across her features, then met her gaze. "We must temper its brilliance," he said, steel in his voice. She nodded, knowing the trial ahead would sear his very soul. He knelt at the pool's rim, trembling as he plunged his hand into the searing luminescence. Memories cascaded through him. Supernovae, birthing galaxies, nebulae weaving star forges, the first spark of life on a distant moon. Pain lanced through his veins as the shard's raw energy sought to overwhelm him. The keeper wrapped her wings of woven starlight around him, forming a cocoon of calm that allowed his will to shape the radiance. Gritting his teeth, he breathed. In Earth's oldest lullaby, his mother's voice singing him to sleep, and wove that gentle harmony into the shard until its fury dulled to a steady glow. Together they lifted the tempered echo and climbed a crystalline ramp lit from within. At the summit stood a dais carved with interlaced runes of unity. Reza placed the shard into its pedestal, and a chord of pure, tempered light rang out, reverberating through the void. Far below, drifting fragments of lost worlds flickered back to life, their fractures mending in waves of luminescence. The keeper's smile was bittersweet. Two notes woven, yet the symphony's heart still beats faintly. They followed a corridor of living shadow, an archway of obsidian that flickered with ghostly reflections of what might have been. Faces of former guardians shimmered in the darkness, reminders of those who had failed. The air thrummed with half-heard laments until Reza closed his eyes and offered silent gratitude to each fallen echo, binding their memories into his resolve. The shadows recoiled, granting passage to the shores of Etheirys. Etheirys was a realm of liquid crystal seas under a prism-shattered sky. Floating islets of glassy flora drifted on gentle currents of light. Here lay the echo of memory, trapped within a monolith carved from ancient comet core. Reza placed his palm against its cold surface and was flooded with voices. Childhood laughter on rain-slicked streets, desperate pleas in endless wars, quiet lullabies sung to dying worlds. Tears blurred his vision as he realized the weight of collective longing now pressed upon him. The keeper guided him to a dais of floating glass panels. "Sing the memories back to it," she instructed. Drawing a trembling breath, he hummed, a simple human lullaby, the first song his mother taught him. Each note intertwined with the monolith's sorrow until its surface glowed warmly, and the surrounding ocean chimed in crystalline chorus. Islands once adrift coalesced into stable clusters, and Etheirys sighed in relief. Reza exhaled, heart heavy with both joy and sorrow. Their next trial lay within the burning canyons of Pyroclast, rivers of molten iron carving channels through obsidian peaks. At the canyon's core pulsed the echo of courage, an eternal flame that tested the mettle of any who approached. Reza advanced into the inferno, armor sizzling, heart pounding. He closed his eyes, recalling moments of bravery from his past, charging into the breach to save his squad, standing firm when hope seemed lost. And let that resolve kindle his spirit. Flames yielded to him, bowing into a beacon of dawn bright, light that he carried to the canyon's mouth. From there, they journeyed through the frozen mesas of Glaciera, where diamond-hard winds carved sculptures of ice that sang with cold beauty. In a hollowed glacier, they found the echo of hope. Its tremor so faint he nearly mistook it for wind. The keeper placed a hand on his chest, infusing him with her surviving stardust. He whispered words of thaw and renewal, and warmth radiated from his words. The glacier wept crystal tears that flowed like rivers, melting ice into shimmering streams. Hope's echo swelled until the entire realm hummed with promise. Between these crucibles, they visited quiet sanctuaries, the floating archives of Solus Prime, where tomes of living energy imparted lost harmonies. The singing groves of Lysandra, where each leaf bore a verse of peace, and the luminous sanctum of Nova Cantus, where ethereal mentors honed his mastery of harmonic warfare. In each place, Reza learned to weave the song mist with increasing finesse, and the keeper's pride glowed in her eyes. Approaching the 15th fragment, they arrived at the Desert of Echoes, a vast plain of glass sand dunes under twin suns. Storms of sound whirlwinds ripped through the air, threatening to shatter the mind. Here lingered the echo of resilience, safeguarded by the Warden of Silence, a figure clad in living void, its touch draining hope. Reza braced himself as the Warden advanced, eyes void black. Drawing upon every hardship he'd overcome, loss, fear, sacrifice, he forged a shield of pure tone. The Warden's strikes shattered against it, releasing shards of bitter silence that his shield absorbed. Finally, he pressed forward, singing a refrain of human perseverance until the Warden dissolved into a whisper of wind. At the northern pole of the plain sat the echo of unity, its song a soft murmur of interwoven voices from countless races. Reza knelt before it and intoned the anthem of the United Worlds, a melody born of his world's best and now carried across the stars. The echo swelled in symphony, resonating through his bones. Chains of stardust lifted the plains, binding scattered dunes into a mosaic of shared purpose. One by one, each realm's echo had been reclaimed, yet only one remained. As they boarded the Keeper's starcraft, they looked to the final horizon, the domain of silence, where the symphony's heartbeat had been snuffed out entirely. No light pierced its depths, and no sound dared to enter. The Keeper's wings folded, a gesture of solemn readiness. Reza grasped her hand, voice firm with conviction. Together, we will ignite the final note. The craft plunged into the void beyond known realms, bound for the silence that awaited their song. They emerged from the shimmering portal into absolute silence. No stars glittered overhead, only a void so deep it pressed upon their senses like a weight. This was the domain of silence, the final realm where the celestial chorus's heartbeat had been snuffed out. The Keeper of Echoes drew her cloak around them both, its woven stardust filaments glowing faintly to pierce the darkness. Reza felt the air itself resist sound. Even his heartbeat seemed swallowed by the void. He reached for his gauntlet, which hummed with the gathered shards, each one awaiting release. As they advanced, the ground beneath their boots shifted like liquid glass, reflecting twisted shadows of themselves. Every footstep cracked the surface, sending ripples through the mirror-black expanse. The Keeper whispered a note so low it echoed inside Reza's mind, a beacon of harmonic light that guided them forward. Each shard in his gauntlet pulsed in response, feeding a subtle warmth into his veins. "This realm feeds on sound," she warned. "We must carry our own symphony within." Ahead loomed the silent spire, a monolith of obsidian so flawless it swallowed all light. At its apex hung the heartstring, a solitary filament of pure void, the final echo severed. To reclaim it, Reza would have to weave all 19 reclaimed shards together into a single cord, then bind it to the heartstring. One misstep, and the void would consume them both. Yet as he gazed at her unwavering violet eyes, he drew strength. "Let the symphony echo," he whispered. They circled the base of the spire, each step resonating with the Keeper's guiding hum. Reza drew forth each shard in turn, radiance, memory, courage, hope, resilience, unity, and the rest, holding them out so their tempered light formed a corona around him. The void pressed closer, eyes of emptiness flickering at the edges of his vision. He inhaled, recalling every melody learned on this journey. Lullabies of Earth, the roar of Nova Cantus, the dirge of Erebos, and the anthem of Unity. As the fragments converged, their individual notes wove into a tapestry of stardust harmony. Clutching the gauntlet to his chest, Reza began to sing, first a hum, then words drawn from every realm he had touched. His voice carried the song mist's power, vibrating through the void with a brilliance that rebuked silence itself. Light erupted from the shards, spiraling upward to the heartstring. The spire quivered, and for a heartbeat the void seemed to recoil in awe. He poured his heart into the final chord, summoning every ounce of compassion, courage, and hope he had forged along the way. The heartstring trembled, then shone with a cold, pale luminescence. As Reza's melody reached its apex, the filament snapped into a cascade of shimmering light. The shards in his gauntlet dissolved, their essence flowing into the heartstring. A thunderous chord rang out, so pure it rang in the bones of every world. The domain of silence cracked open, revealing a tapestry of starfields beyond, realms reborn in the echo of the new symphony. Silence shattered into a million harmonics. Stars blazed into existence overhead, constellations mapping themselves anew. The obsidian spire fractured, fragments spinning away to seed creation across the void. Reza fell to his knees, drained but triumphant, as the keeper knelt beside him. "You have become the maestro of worlds," she breathed, awe and love entwined in her tone. Around them, the void sang its first note of life. They rose together, hand in hand, as the void transformed into a river of living starlight. The path back to the spire's base shimmered into being, each step resonating with renewed energy. Reza felt the weight of cosmic gratitude in his chest, a warmth that eclipsed every challenge he had faced. The keeper's wing filaments brushed, his cheek in a silent benediction. Returning to the banner of creation, a grand hall now suffused with radiant light, they found ambassadors from every realm awaiting them. Beings of crystalline flesh, nebular forms, sentient shadows, and human envoys bowed in unison. Reza and the keeper ascended the dais, their silhouettes haloed by the restored symphony. Murmurs of reverence and jubilation echoed through the hall, no longer silenced by fear. An elder from the crystal conclave stepped forward, offering a diadem woven from the first light of the new starfields. "By the chorus reborn," the elder intoned, "we crown you guardians of harmony." Reza accepted the diadem and placed it upon the keeper's brow, then returned it to his own in shared honor. Together they lifted the banner high, and the hall erupted in a symphony of applause, a living testament to unity forged in sacrifice. In the days that followed, they oversaw the Weaving Festival, a galaxy-spanning celebration marking the symphony's rebirth. Floating platforms drifted through star systems, each hosting choirs of countless species singing the new coronation hymn. Reza stood beside the keeper as choirs rose in unison, their combined voices lifting the harmonics of reality to unprecedented heights. Amid the festivities, they found moments of quiet beneath the celestial arch, an ancient relic crafted from the heart of the first supernova. There, Reza asked the question that had weighed on his heart since the journey began. "When all this is done, where do we go?" The keeper's violet eyes softened. "Wherever the next song calls us," she replied, tracing stardust runes in the air that blossomed into living flowers. As the festival waned, the coalition of realms commissioned a new council, the Harmonic Accord, dedicated to preventing future disruptions of the cosmic weave. Reza and the keeper accepted joint leadership, pledging to guide the galaxy in harmony. Their first decree, the creation of Songkin academies on every world, where beings might learn the arts of cosmic resonance and ensure the symphony never falters again. Eventually, the time came for Reza to return to Earth on a diplomatic mission, carrying the Keeper's hand as both a guide and a promise. Their departure was met with tears and cheers across the lunar and orbital colonies, each light flickering in celebration. As their starship slipped into hyperspace, Reza glanced at the Keeper, her wings of stardust trailing like a comet's tail. "Our symphony will echo forever," he whispered. She nodded, her voice a soft chord in his mind. "And in every note, I will be with you." Together, they charted a course for home, Earth waiting beyond the void and a galaxy bound. By the music of their legacy,